I need for all the commissioners to come on in now. Let's get started. We behind. Hey, Mo. You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Anything I need to know about?
All rise. Oyez, oyez, oyez. Silence is commanded by this honorable commission. All those having business, draw near.
Thank you. You may have a seat. The first thing I want to do is ask you to silence all of your electronic devices. Silence is commanded, which means that I don't want the sheriff or those to go home with your cell phone in their pocket, because if they go to the bed and breakfast, it's going to be a while before you get it back. All right? So make sure now, all of you here, make sure you silence your devices. We're happy to have all of you here. We're especially happy to have Dr. Damian P. Gordon Sr. as our invocationist and our inspirationist, as he brings to us his thoughts and his prayers for us. And I'm not going to read this Bible. I'm going to tell you up front, all right? And one of the reasons I'm not going to read it is because you made a wise decision a long time ago. And that wise decision was you married one of my daughters, one of those, so y'all don't get it straight now. I don't have any daughter. I have thousands of daughters, and when I'm speaking of is those that I taught. And right, and I taught his wife when she was a yee thing. All right, and so all those are my children. All right, if I taught them at Kyler, I taught them at Beach, I taught them at Bartlett, I taught them at Johnson, I taught them at Jenkins. All those are my daughters. All right, all those are my sons. And so he made a wise choice because he married one. All right, and that's all that signals to me that he has good thoughts in mind. But he is the pastor of the First Jerusalem over on ACL Boulevard, all right? And let me bring him to you now. And when he get through, indicate that it's time for prayer. I'm gonna ask everyone to stand, all right? And after the prayer, then I'm gonna ask Commissioner Stone to lead us in the pledge. Dr. Gordon.
Brother Chair, and to all
Pull those closer to you. There you
of
go.
the distinguished district leaders who are here with us today, we thank God for your service and all that you do, and to all of who make up this wonderful assembly. The last time I was here, I gave a brief story, somewhat of a story that was kind of funny, but I believe all of us know that in this climate that we live in, it's not a laughing matter. And so without prolonging the time, instead of leaving you with a story, I want to leave you with a poem. It's a poem that's written by Kent M. Keith, but it's known to be found on the walls of Mother Teresa. And it reads like this: people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. People may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. You are successful. You will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat on you. Be honest and frank anyway. If you spend years building, someone could destroy that building overnight, build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget on tomorrow, but do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between them anyway. There are some words that comes from the wisdom of Solomon in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10. He says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, because there is no work, there is no device, there is no knowledge, there is no wisdom in the grave where thou goest. And so I want to leave you with these words. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Be good anyway, be kind anyway, be productive anyway, have passion anyway. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. Let us pray.
Let us stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, the Lord of love and justice, we come now, Holy One, and we ask first for your forgiveness. We thank you for your grace, and we thank you for your mercy. We pray now that your wisdom will fall fresh upon this room. Each and every leader, God, we pray that you will bless them with wisdom. We pray, God, that you will continue to protect this city, to protect the people in this city, to protect all of our leaders, those who put their life on the line, God. Then, oh Heavenly Father, we pray that you will continue to lift us up in passion and in joy, that we will continue to work for your kingdom building process. Oh Holy One, we thank you now for all that you have done and all that you continue to do. And we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Stone.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Dr. Gordon, once again, it's our pleasure to have you here with us to bring us words of inspiration and encouragement, and also to lead us in our prayer. We step forward to let you know now that we are very supportive of you. I know that you're in the midst of finishing up your doctoral work.
That's
All right, and so we look forward to that being done and said, and you walk across that stage to get that doctoral degree. We're happy to put forth young men as yourself who are striving for excellence, and we just thank you for being here today with us, and thank you for your words.
Thank
All
you,
right?
sir. Bless you.
Let me have a roll call.
Chester A. Ellis, Chairman.
Present.
Helen L. Stone, District 1, Vice Chairman.
Present.
Dean Kicklighter, District 7, Chairman Pro Tem.
Here.
Melinda Scott Hodge, District 2.
Present.
Bobby Lockett, District 3.
Present.
Patrick K. Farrell, District 4.
Here.
Tanya Milton, District 5.
Present.
Aaron Whiteley, District 6.
Here.
Kenneth A. Adams, District 8.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me, as far as now that we're in the introducing part and getting to know, let me ask all of the candidates for the Chatham County Youth Commissioner, please y'all stand. Let me say we welcome you to these proceedings today, and we look forward to working with you as well in your candidacy, all right, to become a member of our Youth Commission, all right, and we're so happy that you're here. All right, thank you all for being here. Wanted to make sure that, all right? Thank you, ma'am. I'm gonna have to check on the young men. y'all saw what I saw? Okay, we're gonna have to do some checking on our young men. Okay, and that's assignment for everybody sitting here. At this time, let me call on the manager who will make a special presentation and a special introduction.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. As I indicated in our pre-meeting, the 1st of July, Chatham County embarked on putting together the fire department as we took over the responsibilities for Chatham Emergency Services. I'm happy to report that so far that transition has gone well, and no small thanks to the men and women of that department and the men and women of Team Chatham who pulled together to make that come to fruition. This morning, I'd like to publicly introduce the chief of the new Chatham County Fire Department, Chief Vickers, and I'm going to ask Chief to come to the podium as he makes a few brief remarks and introduce members of his command team. Chief Vickers.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As I introduced before, this is my command staff, or at least two of them. We are very proud to be here, very glad to be here. We have had some challenges along the way, but Team Chatham definitely made those manageable and moved through, and we really appreciate that. And you got a really good group here. You got a really good group. Probably couldn't ask for better. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce our Deputy Chief of Operations, Keith Harden.
Pleasure's all mine.
And Joshua Anderson, he is the Division Chief of Safety and Training. So this is part of your command staff. We also have somebody else I'd like to introduce later, Lydia McCrary, who will be over Fire Department Medical Services. She's out of town right now.
So, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this is the start of a new era for Chatham County, and we're very proud. And I really would like to thank this commission who had the foresight. I think that publicly, as a group, y'all saw the need to make this transition. It wasn't easy, and it's not cheap. But I really would like to thank each and every one of you for the support that y'all have given. It's made what we do a lot easier. So I think the citizens of Chatham County, in the long run, they will see this as the best move possible. So really want to thank y'all and thank these gentlemen standing to the podium. They've done an excellent job, and we're looking for bigger and better things out of the fire services. So thank you, sir.
And let me just say now, when I get through with these comments, we want you to turn around so that the photographer can take the picture. But the question came up in pre-meeting, what are we going to call them? The answer is on my head. All right? That's what they will be known as. Everybody's got one. All right? So no question as to who we are now and who you are. Thank you so much. All right?
Thank you.
Turn around, if you will, and let them get the picture. Comments from commissioners?
I just want to say welcome. We look forward to working with you all. Thank you for your service and continued service to our community up to this point. And, you know, I'm glad that y'all are part of Team Chatham now. I look forward to working with you all.
Commissioner Farrell?
Since you'll be covering almost my entire district, welcome as the newest, latest, and greatest department to the Chatham County team. July 1st was a historic day in Chatham County. As far as I know, this is the first time the county has ever stood up or participated in any meaningful way a fire department. So with 100,000 residents in the unincorporated area, in which we are their de facto city council and mayor, in a manner of speaking, we look forward to this new chapter of improved services with high goals to produce a great ISO rating and have the best fire department in Chatham County. So welcome aboard and roll up your sleeves. There's probably a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Commissioner Lockett?
Gentlemen, let me welcome you to Chatham County, especially the 3rd District. The 3rd District will be looking forward to working with you, and we need you. Welcome home.
All right, any other? Thank you all so much. And I can say now, the old cliche, they hit the ground running, applies, and as well as they roll up their sleeves and got to work. All right, thank you so much. Proclamation declaring July 27th, 2024 through August the 4th, 2024 as Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week in Chatham County. Queen Quest is here. All right, and we ask her to come up to the podium. As well as she's brought one of my other children. I got a lot of sons and daughters, y'all, so that you got to be careful what you say about me, because you'll never know who listening. Yeah. That's it. The County of Chatham, Georgia, proclamation, whereas the Gullah Geechee Nation exists from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, and encompass all of the Sea Islands and 30 to 35 miles inland to the St. John River, and whereas on these islands, people from numerous African ethnic groups linked with American and created the unique Gullah language and tradition from which later came Geechee. And whereas Gullah Geechee people have been considered a nation within a nation from the time of enslavement in the United States until the official became recognized on July the 2nd, 2000, and confirmed the election of their first head of state and official spokesperson and Queen Mother, Queen Quet. Now therefore, I, Chester A. Ellis, Chairman on behalf of the Chatham County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim July 27th through August the 4th, 2024 as Gullah Geechee Nation Week in Chatham County, and applaud the cultural and environmental sustainability efforts that have been underway. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of Chatham County, Georgia to be affixed this 19th day of July 2024. Queen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. So glad for day back here with all 100 children right here and things like that. And you know, I can't start without just taking a brief moment of silence for Commissioner Holmes.
All right.
Amen. And thank you to all 100 children for carrying on the work. I know, say, Commissioner Holmes done spread them seat right there, and he's sitting right there anyway. Okay, I can feel his energy in you. But what I appreciate this morning especially is our Commissioner Lockett, because he came over to me and he cracked his teeth and say, Holmes ain't here, so I'm the cousin now. and I said, he said, somebody got to do it. I said, yes, sir. And as I sat there after he departed me, I said, you know one thing? He got the right name, because love is usually a heart-shaped locket that you hang around your neck.
All right.
And so I appreciate that. I can hold that right here. And I bless up because today we ain't just got your son there, Brother Chester. We ain't just got your son here. We got also our representative from Florida, the Representative Glenda Simmons Jenkins, she here, and our sister Xavier. So they come up the creek this your time for celebrate with you right here in Chatham County too, who we don't anything like that. And so for all the 100 children within Chatham County, now yet the people are cracking teeth like that shit no more, because y'all think y'all big city people, y'all be talking like this and stuff. All right. We are so happy to continue this celebration. Next year will be the 25th anniversary of the Gullah Geechee Nation. So we want to return to Chatham County and have a big party over here. So I'm giving y'all time now to start planning. All right, put in the budget or whatever we got to do, first reading, second reading, third reading, go and vote for that. And so, but for this year, next Saturday, the 27th at noon on St. Helena Island, we will launch the week with Gullah Geechee Family Day. Now, plenty of hundred children over here, the family, ain't but just Cutting Holmes and me. Okay, plenty of people over here, y'all know y'all can, we cross the state line. That's how you get over here, by boat. All right, so please come on over. It's gonna be at Historic Penn Center from noon to 3. Nobody ever leaves at 3. They don't wanna go home. But like I warned all the other counties and townships, if 100 children get there after 2 o'clock, it ain't nothing for Nampun, that ain't my problem. There's gonna be plenty good Gullah Geechee food, music, dancing, a lot of crafts and other things. So we pray y'all will come over, and then we will be closing out down in Jacksonville this year on Friday, August the 2nd from 6 to 9, where we're going to have a party with a purpose and raise more money for our Gullah Geechee Land and Legacy Fund, but also to launch my new book, which is Gullah Geechee Blessing Pun the Sea, that talks about the environmental sustainability work that we're doing, and I know Chatham County is participating in that, and we want to really help you further with that. And so one of the things we are about to do, in fact, is to leave here to go over to the Mark Gilbert Civil Rights Museum and have a discussion about water resources and keeping those and sustaining those and improving the water quality. And so we say, the water to bring we, the water going to take we back. And so definitely one of the people that we done do libations from the water, we done do all kind of thing on board and thing all up and down these creek here and thing in Georgia, is my brother right here, Dr. Amir Jamal Ture, who is no stranger to any of you. All right, go ahead, my brother.
With the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, and we are here. Normally we will come with some of our culture and history, but on this day, actually we have to go and pay homage. We say respect and honor, respect and honor, because on July 13th, one of the legends of Chatham County passed away. That is Robert Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Bob of the Promised Land Farm. And I have to say this to you, Mr. Chairman, when you came up to me, I said that we were going to talk about you with regards to this. That some of us had discussed, we said that we would like for Chatham County to have a proclamation for Uncle Bob. And on yesterday, I was at the house with Aunt Minnie, his wife, and she said Chester came by. And so we sat there, and she said he brought a proclamation. And we said that's the vibe, that is the connection, that's the spirit, paying homage to property, land that was acquired 1865. That's directly tied to when we talk about 40 acres and a mule. And so that's why I was going to say to you, on behalf of the Promised Land family, that is Sabrina, Greg, Rodney, myself, and the Johnson family, we say thank you for paying homage to Uncle Bob. And we say we continue the story, the legacy, and it would not have happened if it was not for you, and we continue today. And we have to also now go and thank someone that I was surprised to see here, our tax commissioner, that she provided information with regards to taxes that could basically be wiped out for the Johnson family. And we thank you, Commissioner Johnson. And with that, we say we look forward to, with regard to the discussion we're going to have regarding water. We've been at Tybee, we've been on Lazaretto Creek, and we'll continue to look out for our people. And we say again, respect and honor, respect and honor. And we say thank you to the commissioners, again, paying homage to a legend of Chatham County. His homegoing service will be tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Emmanuel Tabernacle Church at Henry and Ott Street in Savannah, Georgia. Again, we say thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will leave these for all the commissioners, and we'll leave some out in the other area in the vestibule for everyone in the public. We look forward to seeing you again, and we will continue on behalf of all of our ancestors, Uncle Bob now, as well as Cutting Holmes, and all those ancestors that all of we stem from, to continue to hold upon the culture. And we taking a stand in healing the land. Thank you, Chatham County.
And thank you all for what you do, and thank you for being here with us. And we hope to take celebration. I was with Aunt Minnie, and I told her I would not be able to get there tomorrow because of previous scheduling, but I sat with her on Wednesday, and her daughter and her grandchildren. In fact, in the room was her, not only her grands, but her great-grands and her great-great-grands, all right? And she would say, hush, boy, the chairman here. We want to hear what the chairman said. I said, no, let me tell you, let that boy go ahead and make that noise, because that means that there is growth, all right? in our community. And for those who don't know, Uncle Bob is the one who's been giving us for years. All you had to do is go out there and cut your greens and bundle them up yourself and never pay a dime. He and Uncle Bill, and Uncle Bill is of poor health as well, all right, but he's with his daughter in Rincon. And so I made sure this week, because I have a long standing with them, some of his nieces and nephews, and we all were in school together, so I have that connection going back, and I just wanted them to know how this commission felt about the work that Uncle Bob did while he was here, that Uncle Bill is still carrying on, and I applaud them. And the reason I applaud them is because the land that was heirs property throughout the years, this is that acres were the first 40 acres and a mule that's still in that family today. And I thank the tax commissioner for helping them to get over a hurdle, you know, because we have so many now who are losing their land because of taxes.
Yes, sir.
But yet there is a way. And so we look forward to taking a part, and I'm just hoping that my schedule will open up and let me come over on the 27th. All right, I'm not gonna promise you now, because, and the reason I can't promise you is because I never know when death is. All right, and y'all know I pastor, and so on tomorrow, while Uncle Bob's funeral, I have another one that I have to attend, all right, that came up before his. And so I just say to you all, continue to spread the word so that our history shall be known by not only our grandchildren, but our great-grands and our great-great-grands, and for generations to come. Is there a commissioner who wants to make a comment? Commissioner Hodge.
Thank you, Chairman. Like you said, history is so important. We sometimes don't understand the connection between our roots, our culture, and how we live today. And there's so many answers in the education that you all provide, just eating from the land. People talk about eating organically, and that is...
We've been doing that.
Exactly. So it's a beautiful thing to witness. And a point of privilege, Chairman, my grandson is here, Guy Malcolm Hodge V. So I say that because I have such a deep appreciation for history and the legacy that we leave behind. And so it's so important. One of the things our Jewish brothers and sisters get right is they ingrain that history in their children from birth. It is that crucial, that essential to how we live today. And so thank you all so much for the work that you do in the community. Jamal, you know I love you. You're my friend, and we don't always agree.
Chairman.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay. So thank you so much for your presence and the work that you do, and anything that we can do to support, we're here. We're here.
Chairman.
Commissioner Kicklighter.
I'd just like to say, Queen, I enjoy seeing you every year, and I think I've been here since you started coming here. And your energy and positivity, it's very much contagious. And it's great to see you every year. I enjoy it and appreciate everything you do.
Great seeing Hunter too. That means these children ain't throw you out.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Whiteley.
Queen Quet,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Teray, we appreciate you all being here. I want everybody in here and those who are watching, who are listening, to know that this is history, right? Not just Gullah Geechee history. This is Chatham County history. This is American history. This is our history. And so don't feel left out. Be a part of it and be eager to learn more. We appreciate you all for continuing the customs and the rights that our community has endured for years, and we look forward to you continuing to do so, and anything that we can do to help, please let us know.
So what I heard a motion for that line item budget for the celebration. And then I heard a second to the motion just now. So it sounds like you can call for the question. That's why I heard it just now.
I don't know if it worked that way, but I will say I'll happily go on record and say that I do support the county supporting some sort of expenditure for the reunion next year in any way we can.
Commissioner Lockett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just say, Dr. Ray, thank you for all the good things that you have been doing in our community. We always appreciate you coming, young lady. We always appreciate you coming. But I also would like to just say to Uncle Bob's family, we certainly have a lot of respect for that family and for the good things that they have done over the years, and I've gotten many greens
Yes, sir.
off that farm. But again, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And we have great respect for that family.
All right, any other? And let me just say, as I wind this up, let me just say that I had the privilege yesterday of having lunch with some Irish Catholics who are, in case you don't know, I grew up in the fort with them for a while playing half rubber, all right? And we were sitting there at lunch yesterday and talking about the connection between the African American community and the Irish community and the Gullah Geechee community, and how we're all on the same path. We crossed paths, we knew each other, but now more than ever, it's coming to light. And to if their schedules would have allowed, they would have come this morning because they knew you were coming. But I want to make sure that we make that connection because down in the fort, all right, we were multicultural and we were multicolored in the fort, all right. And so knowing that, and I say that because as we remember and as we celebrate Gullah Geechee, and you always say it to us, we never forget Cousin Holmes, all right, who was your blood cousin, but who grew up in the fort, down with the rest of them. And so, as Commissioner Whiteley say, it's not Gullah Geechee history, it's not black history, it's not Irish history, it's history. And it's history of all our people that's gathered together, all right? It's just the way America became what it is today, all right? And it's great because of how we have overcome the struggles and the trials and tribulation, all right? So again, thank you as always for being here with you, and thank you for keeping yet it alive. Yes, sir.
Half Rubber was created in Savannah.
Exactly.
Though they lie in Charleston and said that they did it. Was
No,
in
they
Savannah.
didn't. No, they
It was
didn't.
Savannah. And the Johnson family on yesterday said that they wish they went to Herschel V. Jenkins High School, but they had to go to Tompkins.
Here we go. You always start a fight.
Yes, they said that. I swear they said that.
What?
I swear.
Ain't no Bible or Quran up here. Don't take that swear.
I have no reason to lie.
Yes, you do. You do it all the time. He just do it because he do it.
See, that's
but we
why
gonna yet pray for him with a pastor.
that's why I don't let him in here without you coming.
That's the same thing.
That's exactly why.
So please
See?
tell the police don't find me. I go get a switch for him when we get outside. Okay? Tell him
He don't ever want me to remind him of the first Saturday in September 1968.
Come on, tell him.
He don't ever want to talk about that,
on,
but I always remind him the score was 19-0.
That sounds like history, Mr. Chairman.
That's
Our
history.
He said that's history.
This history, all right? So he knows what happened in the fourth quarter,
It was a shutdown.
all right? And it was from this on.
You see? It was a shutdown.
I have to shut him down.
That was a shutdown.
I'm quiet. I'm quiet.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We bless you. Turn around now. They want to make sure we get the pictures going.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, let us move on now, Mr. Manager. Employee Service Award.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm really thrilled today to ask our Human Resources Director to come forth with her team as we recognized members of Team Chatham for their years of service to Chatham County. So.
Good morning, everyone. The employees that we are celebrating today have a combined total of 190 years of service with Chatham County. We want to thank you all for being a part of Team Chatham, as well as dedicating your years of service to the citizens and the members of Chatham County. We're so proud of you, and we look forward to many, many more years of you being a part of our team. Okay. With 30 years of service, we have Miss Shonda Anthony. Also with 30 years of service, we have Miss Monique Baker. With 25 years of service, Miss Vanessa Mitchell. "15 years of service, Miss Teresa Strickland. "10 years of service, Miss Brigitte Grant. "5 years of service, Officer Tyler Thorne. "5 years of service, Corporal Matthew Taylor. 5 years of service, Corporal Adam Yoakum. 5 years of service, Corporal Robert Santoro. 5 years of service, Cardone Nixon. 5 years of service, Patty Cook. And this next young lady has many, many years of service. She actually retired from Chatham County, and about 5:15 on the afternoon that she retired, she decided to come back to work. And she's been back for 5 years with us, Miss Deborah Allen. With 5 years of service, Mr. Alan Cantrell. Mr. Joseph Latson. Trishawn Ford. Victoria Squires. Deputy Sheriff Advance Patrick Wright. Miss Trakia Farrell.
All right.
5 years of service, Corey Thomas. 5 years of service, Miss Antoinette Barnes. And last but not least, 5 years of service, Miss Candace Williams.
To all of those on Team Chatham, let me thank you for the work you contribute, but let me catch her before she go out the door, because I know Judge Colbert is here, all right? There she go. All right, the clerk, please. All right, the Constitution, the tax commissioner, all right? Am I missing anybody? Did I get them all? All right, we just want to thank you all for being here, and I know that you all have to, you know, get back to work and things with the rest of us. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for the work that you do, especially those from Team Chatham who make things work in this county. All right, we don't have any chairman's items or commissioner items. We don't have any table items. We go to items for individual action. Board of approval of the following appointments. Reappoint Helen L. Stone to the Chatham County Area Transit through commission term ending December 31st, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Properly motion and second that Commissioner Stone be reappointed. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. Reappoint Bobby Lockett to the Chatham County Area Transit Authority.
I move to reappoint Commissioner Bobby Lockett to the Chatham Act.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Reappoint Kenneth Adams to the Chatham County Area Transit Authority through commission term ending December 31st,
So moved.
2021.
Second.
Wait. Kenneth has something to say about that.
Mr. Chair, I won't be here.
You'll be here until December 31st.
Okay.
Notice now it says until December 31st.
Okay.
You're gonna be here. We got you
Oh, no,
covered.
you don't.
We got you covered.
Oh, no, you
Appreciate
You're
it.
going to be here
Thank you.
unless you want to start docking. Okay, all right. So reappoint Kenneth Adams to the Chatham Area Transit through commission term ending December 31st, 2024. Motion?
So moved, Mr.
I
Chairman.
made the well.
All right, properly motion and second and ready for the question. Please cast your votes. All right. Reappoint Laura Nottingham to the Live Oak Regional Library Board.
Second.
Properly motion and second, and Nottingham be reappointed. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. Reappoint Maria Romaine to the Live Oak Regional Library Board. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion and second. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Okay. Reappoint Benny Walsh to the Live Oak Regional Library Board. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion and second. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. Reappoint Robert Fritz to the Chatham County Regional Recreation Authority. Is there a motion?
Second.
All right. Properly motion and second. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. To request approval of the following budget amendments and transfer fiscal year 2024. One, in the Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax Fund, transfer and amend project budget as listed below. FY 2025. One, in the general fund, increase transfer to the transferring in from the fire fund $192,445 to increase the ICS salaries and benefits. Two, in the multi-grant fund. A, increase revenue and expenditures, $500,000 for the Criminal Justice Coordination Council Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant. B, increase revenues and expenditures, $194,750 for the Council of Accredited Court Judge, Savannah Chatham Drug Court with Veterans Division Grant. C, increase revenue and expenditures, $150,000 for the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority Grant. 3, in the Fire Fund, transfer $192,445 from the Fire Department salary and benefit to transfer out to the general fund. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion and second that the request be approved. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Adoption of the tax year 2024 millage levy resolution for the Board of Public Education for the City of Savannah and the County of Chatham pursuant to advertisement having been published in accordance with OCGA 48-5-32.1. In addition, from PT-35 County Millage Rate Certificate and Form, PT-32-1, compensation of millage rate rollback and percentage increase in property taxes for the year 2024. The form must be certified and submitted to the Georgia Department of Revenue for digest approval for the next tax year 2024. Is there a motion?
Move to approve, as stated, Mr. Chairman.
Properly motion and second that it be approved or in unreadiness. Commissioner Kicklighter.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out for the public watching at home and for the people in the audience, the final line of this says, the forms must be certified and submitted to the Georgia Department of Revenue for digest approval for the tax year 2024. What that simply means is that we, the County Commission, must approve the Board of Education's budget. And sitting here right now, I have no idea whether they raised taxes or kept them the same or lowered them or whatever, because we never saw the budget. Now, I could have looked in there and read in my agenda and found out whether it's being raised or whatever. But point being, a budget's never submitted to the county for the Board of Education, so the state law gives the illusion that we somehow we have something to do with the Board of Education taxes. And I guess I'm mainly talking to the Youth Commission right here. One day when you buy your own home, you're gonna realize that the large majority of your property taxes, it goes to the Board of Education, the largest part, I would venture to say. And by the law stating we have to approve it, it gives the illusion that we're somehow responsible for it, and we're not. I've been pretty consistent of voting against it year after year for the simple fact is, well, I'd rather the state of Georgia, I'd rather go to court with them just to prove a point, pretty much, because if it makes no sense whatsoever. If we have to approve it, why don't they just approve it? Why don't the state create something where they send in whatever millage rate they approved without it coming through us? So having said that, I'm not trying to persuade everyone up here to vote against it, because if you do, we're going to court. I'm willing to do that just to make the point. But I just want you to know, if you decide to vote with me on this, if the majority wins, we're going to court on it. I'd love to do that because I've been consistent for years, and I find it just ridiculous that the state puts these mandates on local governments that gives the illusion that we're responsible for something in which we have zero responsibility for. So, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all know, I vote against this every year for the exact same reasons that Mr. Kicklighter just mentioned. I haven't seen the budget. The one year that I did read the budget and I had some questions, there was no one here at this meeting to answer any of my concerns or any of my questions. I think it's a formality that needs to be done away with. We don't have any control over their budget. we don't have any control over anything that they do. So to ask us to rubber stamp their budget is wrong and it's unfair, and every year I vote against it. And I've been saying this for a very long time. I'm not going to tell you how long, but I'm not going to vote for it, Mr. Chairman, and it's nothing to reflect on this board or to hurt anyone. I just think it's time that we say this is not our purview. It's beyond our purview. It's not within the bounds of what we do, and to rubber stamp it is just wrong. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, anyone else? All right, please cast your votes. A question? All right.
So it's similar, is it akin, we manage this similar to how, like, the Board of Elections comes under Chatham County Commissioner, Board of Commissions, but we don't manage their budget? We don't, is it similar in the setup? Like, we manage, we're having a voice in this, but we don't necessarily have a voice in this?
All right, let me get the lawyer to answer that question for you.
Somewhat, but not quite. Okay. That's clear as mud, I know. The reason y'all have to do this is y'all set the millage. Y'all have the power to set the millage rate. School board doesn't, okay? Now, there's a case directly on point where a Board of Commissioners challenged and lost. Y'all don't get discretion here.
Right.
They're responsible for picking the millage rate, and y'all are responsible for approving the millage rate. And y'all are approving the millage rate because you're the people under the Constitution that were given the power to do that. So coming here is more of a convenience thing, but it's also something that needs to be set because the law requires it.
Right. All right, Commissioner Milton.
My question is, as Commissioner Stone said, that there's nobody here to answer any of our questions. Can that not change? I mean, do we have?
They were invited. They were invited, all right? They just didn't come.
They don't come.
All right? And that's their right. Just like we have the right, we by law, we are supposed to pass whatever they set in place. So, you know, we can, I guess during their public hearings and things is when our opportunity to go down and question them about it. But, yes, sir.
Thank you. One other difference I'd like to point out is that right now, current state law has our other, like, constitutional officers, their budgets, if they recommend a budget and we vote against it, they can take us to court and sue, and the judge can say they get what they need to run their department. But the difference is obviously from this last case that the attorney was talking about, they're treating the Board of Education as if they're a constitutional officer, but the major difference would be that our constitutional officers' budgets are included in our total.
Right.
This is a totally separate budget that does
It
not
is.
fall anywhere within our budget under our guidance. So
And it's never sent to us.
right. So it's a great negotiation between the county and our constitutional officers like the tax commissioner, et cetera, every year to keep everything in line. But when it comes to us with the Board of Education, we literally have zero negotiating power whatsoever with them. And we're supposed to rubber stamp it. And it's just a ridiculous thing, because it gives the illusion that we somehow have the authority. And the only way we'll ever know that is if we all vote against it and go to court. Yeah.
And now, just to make you aware, now, this is a state issue, and we have brought it up with our local delegations year after year after year, all right? But nothing ever changed, and they sit it down, we are mandated to pass their budget, all right?
Chair.
Okay.
And
Yes.
one more thing, I want it
Sure.
to be clear for the educators in Chatham County, all of you. My thoughts, and any Commissioner Stone's thoughts, I would think is no reflection on the job you're doing, educating our kids and everything. It's no reflection of even what you budget, because we don't know what you budgeted. We don't know if you've over budgeted, under budgeted. We have no clue, because that's not within our authority and oversight. So that's the job of the Board of Education, to make sure they're presenting the budget and they're held accountable as elected officials, just as we're held accountable as elected officials for the budgets that we oversee. So not a reflection, this could be the perfect budget here today, but it could be horrendous, but we have no idea. So, thank you.
All on readiness, please cast your votes. All right. Let us go on now to our bi-monthly report. Is she here? Yes. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I always look for you on the front. Yeah. Okay. All righty.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'll start Chatham County Police Department's presentation with Part 1 crimes. And I'll begin with violent crime. Unfortunately, since my last reporting, we've had to add an additional homicide to our numbers, which moves us from 2 to year-to-date to 3. In the area of street robberies, they are streaming slightly down, and in all other categories in violent crimes, we're also trending in a downward area, which is exactly what we would like to see. Overall, violent crime is down by 26% from this same time period last year, with the biggest drop in non-domestic aggravated assaults with guns. Property crimes, however, is a little different. We're showing an increase in property crimes. And I mentioned previously, the two primary areas that we continuously see the increases in is with shopliftings and with entering autos. Now, shopliftings have doubled from the same time period last year. With entering autos, we're showing an increase of 28%. Auto thefts have also increased by 46%, from 79 last year to about 115 this year. Certain models of vehicles are more susceptible to being stolen than others. Total property crimes are up by 32%, with total crimes being up by 20%. And of course, on this slide, it represents Part 1 crimes by beats. And I'm sure you all are familiar with your district. What you see here is a depiction of guns stolen from vehicles. And it's not a pretty picture. As you can see, most of the guns stolen out of vehicles are from unlocked vehicles. If you look further, you'll notice that very few guns are stolen from out of vehicles that are locked. And so we constantly encourage our citizens to secure their vehicles and to secure their property within their vehicles. We've gone as far as to push out news releases repeatedly encouraging residents to safeguard their property and to safeguard their vehicles. We've also pushed out yard signs, as some of you may have seen in certain neighborhoods, encouraging our residents to secure their property. Of course, our patrol officers are doing everything that they can do to encourage residents as well. But it's going to actually be up to the individuals to take responsibility for securing their vehicles if we're going to cut these numbers down. jugging is trending again, and jugging actually dates back to the 1800s. And I don't know if you're familiar, but back in the day, as you would say, individuals would take their coins to the banks in jugs. They would take their coins to the banks in cans and in jars, rather than the way that we take money to the bank now. And that's where the term jugging came from. Today, criminals will conduct surveillance on banks and on ATM machines, and they'll actually follow individuals that they think may be coming out of the bank, or if they see them with a package that they perceive to have money in it, they actually get in their vehicles and they will follow that individual, hoping that that person may stop at a location such as a store or a shopping center and leave their vehicle unlocked, and they'll go in the vehicle and take the money. Now, we've sent out notifications again by way of newsletters in the I-95 corridor because we've seen several incidences to occur in that area. In Chatham County, we've had 22 incidences to have occurred to date, and that's the whole of Chatham County. In unincorporated Chatham County, we've only had 3 incidences, and we're hoping that that number do not continue to rise by putting out the news releases and alerting residents that this is a problem. In this particular fraud case, we have secured arrest warrants for these individuals you see on this picture. These individuals targeted a gentleman at the Publix on Johnny Mercer Boulevard back in April. The men were able to fraudulently obtain bank account information by standing near that individual as he was exposing his credit cards, debit cards, etc. And they were working as a team. When they stole his information, of course, they tried to use his identity at different locations as well. These individuals, one is from Romania and the other is from Czech Republic. They also went out into the California area, and that's where they were arrested because they engaged the same similar type of activity out in California. Of course, our officers, like I said, secured warrants for them, and they're going to be extradited back to Chatham County to face the charges that we put on them. And what I want you to notice is this tip to CCPD came by way of Crime Stoppers. We don't talk that much about Crime Stoppers, but I want you guys to be aware that Crime Stoppers has been very beneficial in helping CCPD to gain information on who some of these criminals are committing these crimes.
May I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Thank you. These two are from foreign countries. Do you know if they're in our country legally or illegally?
Not at this time, sir, but when we extradite them and bring them back to Chatham County, we'll get an opportunity to interview them and gain more information about who they really are and whether they are here legally or not.
Thank you.
And as we are always proud to announce our graduates, so we had 6 individuals to graduate from the academy recently in June, and we have additionals in the academy as of July. And you may have seen, I'm not sure if you have, but we have put up billboards for recruiting all across unincorporated Chatham County in hopes that we can continue recruiting individuals to join the PD. We participated in career fairs, and we will continue to do this. We've also participated in fairs at military bases in hopes of recruiting individuals, and we usually do get those that's exiting out of the military to come and sign up with us. And so we will continue to do continue with our efforts to recruit on military bases and colleges and different locations so that we can continue filling our rank and file. Community events. I don't know if any of you participated, but many of our officers participated in the community events for the 100th anniversary at the Ace Hardware on the islands. And as you can see, they took various pictures when they were at different locations, engaging the community, which is something that we consistently encourage them to do. We showcased our patrol, our SWAT team, and our Marine Patrol units at these different events. Community contacts, you know, we try to encourage our officers to make contact with individuals outside of our normal calls for services, and they've been doing an excellent job at that. And I think you get a slide from time to time that depicts how many contacts they're actually out making in different areas and different beat locations. Our ranking commanders are always encouraging them to do so that we can continue building a relationship with our residents. And this bottom picture, the bottom left picture, you see, we have Officer Tilley, who came across a canine. And the owner indicated that his particular dog really likes people, but particularly for some reason likes uniforms. And so Officer Tilley was very much so grateful and taking a photo with this dog, with this canine, and he's licking his tongue out as if he's enjoying himself. So that was a nice shot that they were able to take. And so in this next slide, we did not present last time I was here on behavioral health, but I thought it was interesting in a conversation I was having with Corporal Hiram Rivera, who is our behavioral health liaison. He's going to come up and he's going to brief you because he's done tremendous work in this area. And I thought after our conversation, he should share that information with you all. So if you all would grace him, I'm going to invite him up to come and speak to you for a few minutes about the work that he's been doing. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm grateful to be here to share with you a little bit about the behavioral health unit work that I'm doing for the Chatham County Police Department. Of course, and talk to you a little bit about the numbers. But I will tell you before I start, even just the numbers themselves don't really reflect, you know, the impact that the work that I'm doing is having with the families that I'm coming across in the community. So I just want to share a little bit of some of the success stories that we've had and what we're doing with the behavioral health unit with the Chatham County Police Department. This is just a little bit of our crisis response for Chatham County over the last 6 months, just some of the numbers, just reflecting patrol officers being dispatched to crisis calls. The numbers here don't really reflect the calls for service that are criminal related that also have an underlying mental health issue. This is specifically just mental health and suicide related dispatch calls. The officers are really doing a good job over the last 6 months to a year since we've started this unit, referring people over to my unit for follow-up and for services, which is fantastic because it means that these officers are being a little bit more creative in thinking about solutions other than jail or the ER for the needs of the families and the folks that we are serving in our community. So I do the best I can when they make referrals to do my research, to triage, and to conduct follow-ups and connect these families with whatever resources that they may need. And it's interesting because officers make referrals for a variety of reasons, as you can see here. As a matter of fact, there's so many ways in which somebody may need a follow-up or a resource that many times I have to sit down and do my homework before I even make contact with the family to understand what is even happening with the individual and with the family. And officers are coming across folks in our community from all walks of life. I mean, you can see we're dealing with folks of all ages, all races, both male and female. We're getting folks referred to our services so that we can connect them and keep them out of jail, keep them out of being repeat customers and familiar faces with both EMS and police. With the referrals and with the information coming in, again, just showing the numbers, it really doesn't speak to what's really happening with some of these individuals and families. So I wanted to take a few moments and share with you just a couple of stories of some interactions that I've had with some families who have really made very inspirational turnarounds on their own, just with a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance. And I have 3 cases here. One of them is a gentleman who's a convicted felon with paranoid schizophrenia. Some of the issues that we dealt with him before I got involved was 27 calls for service in a 2-month period where he was displaying aggressive behaviors. He's convicted armed robbery, served 10 years in prison, and while he was in prison, he was stabbed in the head, which is part of some of his psychosis and issues that he was having when he came out. He was med non-compliant and was self-medicating with methamphetamine. Our second case that we had was a daughter and a mother who was had some domestic abuse going on. The daughter suffered from some neuromuscular disease, some myasthenia gravis, as well as having some underlying mental health issues, and they were struggling having resources to get resources for the family. We were getting upwards of 10 calls a month, domestic related, with that particular family. And the third case that we have is a retired senior citizen, a woman who's worked her whole life in Savannah, whose husband passed away. She's living alone, coping with alcohol. She has no support, no family. Many times she'd fall down, be laying on the ground for days at a time. EMS and police would respond, make forced entry to have to get her up off the ground. She was found with injuries due to the falls, defecation on herself because she hadn't been able to get up off the ground for several days to even reach a phone to call for help. So these are just 3 examples of individuals who have been referred to my office for follow-up and for services. And these individual stories here, I just look here to the right. I apply the behavioral influence stairway model, and if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's a negotiation strategy that the FBI teaches negotiators, and I'm a crisis negotiator for the police department. So basically, the only strategy that I use with these folks and these families is using time to build connection. Like, that's really it. And I'm very fortunate in my role because I get a chance to spend as much time as it takes with these individuals and their families to really truly understand what the underlying issues are and try to connect those folks with those services. And it takes, everything from an introduction, empathy, rapport, influencing, just to get to that behavioral change. Sometimes I can develop very quick rapport on the beginning, on the front end, and influence people the first time I meet them. Other times it takes a second, third, fourth visit, maybe 2 months of engaging with them, a couple of months at a time before I can finally influence behavior. But I can tell you that folks, when they start seeing a familiar face from this end, they start trusting the process and trusting the resources that are available. With case number 1 with our convicted felon, I spent a lot of time with this young man. I took him to doctor appointments. I advocated for him in the courts, as well as with the behavioral health process. We managed to, this individual here, his main issue with his schizophrenia was his paranoia and his issues when he got assaulted in prison. So part of his mania was like trying to get accountability for what happened to him in prison. So sitting with him and understanding what his underlying issues were, we were able to connect him with the prison, try to file a complaint with the prison or at the CPS afterward. We got him to work on quitting self-medicating with drugs. He quit smoking, he quit drinking, he started going to ACT, he started working on employment. Because we started getting up to that particular point, we reconnected him with his children, and his father, who he lives with currently, has reached out to me even in the months afterward to tell me that his son is doing great, and he's fantastic. He's on his meds, and he's doing the things that are required of him through the system. So we've had 0 contact with him over the last 3 months, and he's doing very well on his own, independently. Our second case here, this mother-daughter case, was an interesting case because we ended up having to charge the daughter with a domestic violence charge in order for us to use the courts as leverage to get the child to comply with medication and with treatment. What was happening with the second case was mother didn't want her child charged, and the child was an adult living at home under her care. So mom would be willing to take the abuse, whatever abuse was happening, and not tell the police what was going on. It took me 3 weeks of working with her before she finally told me that she was getting abused by her daughter when things were happening. So on the next time we had a call to that house, we ended up charging that young lady, even though she had myasthenia gravis and a few other issues. We got her to the jail, we in-processed her, out-processed her, took her right back home and gave her a court date. I ended up going with the family to that particular court date, speaking to the judge, and worked with the judge to use the courts as leverage to get her to comply with treatment and her meds. And since we've been working with the courts and getting her in and out of treatment and in her therapy and on her medication, she has had 0 problems, 0 calls for service. And mother texted me not too long ago saying she's back to being my daughter again. So again, it's a very touching interactions with these families. And I will say that I wish I can have that kind of interaction with every single family. But for me, just taking home some of those small interactions and knowing that we've made a difference, really does speak to the work that we're doing as a group in the police department and trying to connect people with services. And then this last one here, again, just working with this lady. This one here was an interesting case because I worked with our paramedics. So our Chatham Fire BHU, was working with me in this particular case because both EMS and police departments were responding to this call for this lady and her issues and her injuries. So with working with this young lady, we managed to get her some of the things that she may need to, for mobility around her home. We got a hold of her sister who was living in South Florida and implored her sister to come up here and seek power of attorney in care so we can get her to some treatment. And we ended up getting a hold of some individuals and doctors who could help arrange for her dog to be certified because all that she had left in her home after her husband passed was her pet, who she didn't want to leave at home when she was being asked to go to get treatment or go to the hospital for longer periods of time. So we managed to try to arrange for her dog to get emotional pet certified. And again, just trying to connect her with her family. And in some of the interactions with her, you know, she would say things like, you know, you've given me the will to live again, and stuff like that. So again, you know, some of these efforts that we've put into some of the families, I think have gone a long way to establishing some independence and some quality care for these folks who may not otherwise have had that particular care. So my strategy here is quality versus quantity with the behavioral health unit. We get a lot of folks referred to us. And the truth is, I can't help every single one of them because the philosophy I carry is I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. So I will offer services and I will offer you know, connection to resources every single time I go see somebody and I follow up with them in hopes that at some particular point that they'll see that there's benefit in that particular resource and they'll latch onto that. So what I end up doing is triaging the cases and the information coming in and doing what I can to apply myself to those calls that are most critical. Risk to self, risk to others, escalating behavior, frequent contact, and others. Like I said, I wish I could spend a lot more of my time with the families that are not ready. You know, but, you know, as we all know, you know, acceptance of treatment and care and taking your medications requires a personal accountability and responsibility that some people just aren't ready for. And I promise you that when they are ready, I'll be there to help them get the connection and the care that they need. So in this work, I look for a lot of inspiration, you know, because I am out here, you know, trying to make a difference, you know, as one officer in a, you know, in a community. But I will tell you that there are a lot of partners involved that I do the best I can to share my stories, especially these successful stories. I recently had attended the Georgia, hang on a second, Mental Health Consumer Network conference that was down in, I think, Sea Island not too long ago. And there I managed to hear, I got an opportunity to hear Jennifer Dunn, I think the Assistant Deputy Director of Commission for the DPHDD. And she told a story that resonated with me and I want to share with you as my final story for the day. And this story is important because I think it speaks to the work that I do and why I enjoy sharing some of the success stories of what we have. And this is the story of the starfish. And it all started when a young girl was walking along a beach upon which thousands of starfish had washed up during a terrible storm. And when she came to each starfish, she'd pick it up and she'd throw it back into the ocean, and people watched her with amusement. She'd been doing this for some time when a man approached her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at this beach. You can't save all these starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." So the little girl seemed crushed, suddenly deflated. But after a few moments, she bent down, picked up another starfish, and she hurled it as far as she could into the ocean. Then she looked up at the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference for that one." The old man looked at the girl inquisitively and thought about what she had said and done. Inspired, he joined the little girl in throwing starfish back into the sea. Soon others joined, and all the starfish were saved. I appreciate y'all time this morning. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share some of these success stories, and I will continue to make a difference in the lives in which I come across in Chatham County. So I do appreciate you. All right. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For my fellow commissioners and for those that are listening in, I don't think anyone can understand how appreciative we are for your BHU and what you have done and what Linda has done and what Tara is doing. You all, we're an example, not only statewide on what we're doing, and I know that you've come and given a presentation and it's been phenomenal, but now it's nationwide. So NACO is acknowledging what we've done. The Mental Health Commission just came out with their final report. And, you know, it's just so wonderful to know that we're helping so many people and we're treating mental illness as an illness and not putting them aside and saying there's something wrong with you, but we don't want to deal with you. It affects more families than people realize. It affects our judicial system. It affects our hospitals. And I'm very, very proud that this commission and the individuals, and I know there are a lot more that I've mentioned, have been involved and stepped up to the plate and done this, because we are true. I'm telling you right now, we're leading the way in Chatham County in some of this work. So my heart goes out to you and your team for being extremely grateful to see this and know that we are helping people and helping families. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other? Commissioner Milson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm really proud of your passion. Your passion is this, and you make a difference. That Starfish story, if you can just say one, I know that that's the way you feel, but your work is so important.
Yes,
and I appreciate you doing what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, any other? Thank you so much. And thank you, Chief Talbot, for the work you all do. And let me say to Corporal Rivera that I look forward to the day when it's a unit, when it's not just you, but it's a unit within our police department, because we need to know and put stressors on. And we just got back from NACO, and they go into the workshops and things of how important mental health is and behavioral health is to our community. And in long run, it's an investment, because it's the old saying, you're either gonna pay it on the front end or pay it on the back end, and the back end is more expensive than the front end. So I look forward to the day when we establish the unit that is more than just you, all right? Thank you so much. All right, let us move on now. We go to the action calendar. May I have a motion to accept the action calendar in its entirety except 12I?
Second.
Probably motion and second that we accept the action calendar in its entirety except 12I. You ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Oh, he's gone, okay. 12I. Recognize administrative changes to the award amount and amend the funding code for the professional engineering service contract for Phase 3, design of the Sally Move, what is that? Argyle Road? Donnie Road, all right. Force Main Repair Project. Is there a motion? You want to do this one separate? Is there a motion? Need a motion?
Motion to approve the item as stated, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Properly motion and second that we approve it. Now we are ready for the unreadiness. Commissioner Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to say that I definitely approve of making the infrastructure improvements to the sewer system that we have here in the unincorporated area. I would like to make a further comment, but before I do, I'd appreciate your listening to one of my constituents, a paragraph from our correspondence this week. I grew up on Deepwater on Penrose Drive. Septic systems are not new to me. What is of growing concern is the strain on these systems now that nearly every available lot has been sold, built upon, and had septic systems added. Also contributing to the issues in this neighborhood is how low it is in relation to, for example, Highway 80. Just the simple act of driving up Rita, Terra, or Wilma Streets and looking at Highway 80, it's obvious how low we are. On the good side, however, is just yards away on the other side of 80, there's already existing sewer service. I truly appreciate all you can do to assist me and neighbors here. People are very reluctant to sign a petition because they don't want to admit to problems with toilets flushing and backup in tubs and showers. They say it devalues their property. Personally, I could never sell my home to anyone without being forthcoming about the drainage issues. I will continue to not wash clothes and flush toilets at high tide and limit my guests to days without heavy rain. I've lived in Gray's subdivision for over 40 years, and this has gotten progressively worse. But at least now I live alone. I hope I live to see the right thing done and sewer added to this neighborhood before it affects islands, life, and wetlands. Please feel free to share with other commissioners. I believe this constituent very articulately presented the problem of what's going on in the lower areas of Chatham County, which are many, and the problem with you're not going to see a lot of folks clamoring in front of you about this. And I think she articulated well why. There's a degree of not wanting to admit to the world that you've got issues at your house with this problem. But it is prevalent, it is out there, and there is, without each individual spending exorbitant amount of money on very complicated individual septic systems, it's gonna become incumbent upon, there's only one body left in the unincorporated area to deal with this, and I'm looking at all the decision makers as I speak. So I just wanted to share that little bit of information and go back to the question at hand, which is this particular issue. The funding is listed for this project as ARPA, which we all know what that is. And my point is that this is an enterprise zone for the existing people that are lucky enough in the unincorporated to have sewer service. An enterprise fund is supposed to be self-sustaining. It's not a profit center like a for-profit enterprise, it's just to break even. I would personally like to see as much ARPA funds dedicated to extending sewer service and doing what we can to meet the problem that's been with us, that's here now, and will continue to get exacerbated by higher sea levels that have been documented for over 100 years. It's just the rate of the sea level increase is starting to slope upward. The ground table, the water table in the ground is always an issue of rising and falling, but when we have consistent rains for multiple weeks on end, the water table rises significantly, and these issues that were so eloquently laid out for us are there to visit. Lots of different properties. So I would, in the future, like to spend more ARPA funds on new sewer service and let the enterprise fund do what it's supposed to do and take care of the existing customers. So that's just what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention today, and I appreciate your time and paying attention.
Let me ask Ms. Coolidge and Jackie, if you all will come forward, because I do want the constituent to know who wrote to us, all right? And I have that email, but I want them to know where we are and know that we started to work on this back in 2021. And, you know, just give us an update as to where we are and then how long it's gonna take, because, you know, she mentioned in her email that she hopes to see something before she goes away. Go ahead. Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Good morning. So we have hired a consultant to help us try to sort out the septic elimination issue. It's not an easy subject. It's very complicated. There are many factors involved. You know, it's not just how low-lying the areas are, but we have regulatory authorities, the state that regulates how much discharge there is. Not all sewage systems will work in all areas. It's not in every area. We can't just pipe it somewhere and it get treated and discharged. So it's very complicated. And the unincorporated areas, as you know, is spread out over a large area. So it won't be something that'll work in every area. Some areas are just going to have to stay on septic. It is what it is. We are currently looking at multiple areas, and that is on the west side, the islands, one of which being Whitmarsh, which is Gray subdivision where this lady lives. Burnside, we're looking at all the various islands, and the west side in the areas that we know that we have big growth that we're trying to accommodate. We will come up with solutions in the next few months, or proposed solutions, but it will take time to implement. It could be multiple years before we see these things implemented. And one of the problems is going to be funding. We're going to have to seek grants and probably loans in some cases to fund some of this. So it will take years for it to roll out. We are focusing in those areas now that we know we have issues, one of which being the islands, working closely with DPH because they are aware of where the problem areas are because they permit septic currently. So I just say we're working, yes. With resiliency engineering staff, we're working with consultants to try to solve the problems that we have, and we're going to come up with a list of solutions, and we'll come back to you with those proposed solutions, but it will take time. It won't be something that's going to happen this year or probably even next year. It's going to have to roll out in phases. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess just to supplement what Suzanne clearly laid out, I agree. This definitely is going to be a long-term project, long-term effort, if you will. We have, as she mentioned, just this week, we have gone out and done site visits at all the communities that we're really focusing on that we know there are specific issues with. And to add to that, we have been actually for a number of years now looking for dedicated funding sources, grants and loan programs, et cetera, but also recognizing that we will need to possibly look at our codes and ordinances and those type of things, because fundamentally something will have to change with that regard as well as to where these systems are allowed, not allowed because of the water tables, soils, and all that kind of good stuff, unfortunately. But yeah, I think the timeline, September, October, we'll start to see some of those outcomes and recommendations from the consultant, and we will definitely come back to the board with recommendations after talking to management as well, and see where all that falls out. But again, recognizing that the answers are not going to be the same necessarily for the west side versus the east side communities. They're just different situations and scenarios, but we're 100% looking into what we can do in the short term. There's other possibilities for grants for somewhat of Band-Aids, looking at pumping systems and those type of things, but they're not going to be the fix for the long haul, and we recognize that for sure.
All right. Commissioner Kicklighter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just curious if there's any intent, or I guess I'll recommend, if not, that the county do some type of polling with the various areas to see who's actually interested in having septic connections, because with the understanding that falls under the enterprise fund, that you're supposed to cover your cost with the enterprise fund, but not supposed to actually make a profit. The only way to recover costs once you've extended water or sewer lines is to charge a serious little connection fee. to start with, and you have to force every single resident along the line, they are forced to abandon their own septic systems, which they own, and they have no bills for other than the cost of the septic system and electricity, I guess, or whatever runs the, I guess electricity don't run a septic system. But, well, I don't know. It does, I guess. But anyhow, they own it, and they don't have bills. So we're going to run into a lot of people that are happy living out in their areas, paying no bills for their water, paying nothing for their sewer. And I personally, as the representative of the other part, or a large part of the other area in Chatham County that we may be talking about, I would encourage us, since no matter what occurs, it's going to have to be a small bite at a time, poll the various areas, split them out, and do this in the areas that you have the most desire for it first and foremost. In the areas that are opposing it and raising Cain, let's leave them alone and let them live their lives with their free purchase, what they've already purchased. But go ahead, you already planned on that, hadn't you?
Yes, so, well, a couple of things. We did send out a survey, this was last year or the year before, to everyone that we had recognized as potentially being on septic, and have them reply back, are you on septic? Do you know you're on septic? Are you maintaining it, kind of thing? Here's what you should be doing. And poor results on returning that survey. But we've done that. Now this consultant that we've chosen,
Okay, I want to back up though. I think you would get more participation if you say, are you willing to be forced to pay a tap-in fee and forced to abandon yours?
I'm getting there,
okay.
yes. And so part of the reason this specific consultant was appealing to us is because they've done these things in other areas around the state and are familiar with how these things go and the outreach for that. And so we're looking not only at solutions, but the cost of those solutions, right? So they're gonna come back with estimated cost for implementing certain solutions, and we will do public outreach. So we'll go to the communities and say, here are some potential solutions, here's what the costs will be, here's what the implications are. But also reminding them that in order to upkeep a septic, there is a cost. It's not free. It's not the home builder put it in and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of your home ownership. It's, these things need to be done to maintain that for it to work, properly, and that is a cost. And so looking at the difference between, okay, you can pay monthly for this service that's gonna take care of it, and, for the rest of your home ownership, or you can pay $25,000 lump sum, or this person's $2,400 here, $2,400 there, or you might have to replace, or you are going to have to replace it over a 30-year mortgage, and it's going to be $10,000 more, whatever. So they will compare those things as we go out to the communities, and it is a decision, and then we'll it will be, is this something you really want as a community, because there are implications in both ways.
Right, and I fully understand it's important for future development, which development is what keeps the current taxpayers from paying more taxes. So I get the touch and go, but my only thought on it is, and I get it as a developer, that you would want to have the service. But my only point being at this time is because there's no way we can walk in wave a magic wand and do it all everywhere. We just know which areas would prefer it before we go just putting it out there willy-nilly.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why, to me, that's the positive side of us doing, seeking out the grants.
Yeah.
Because normally when you just send out a survey, people don't answer, all right? Because I know I'm guilty of it. The minute I see something that says it was a survey, I throw it in the trash can, all right? But I do attend community meetings, and that's one of the things that when we seek these grants, it's required that we have town hall meetings, and we invite people to come up and express what's going on with them. A good example of that, we just had a community meeting out at, with DOT out at Bloomingdale Town Hall, all right? And they had sent out, DOT had sent out the surveys, but the folks who showed up, and they were able to sit down with one of the DOT workers, and they typed in, all right? And in other cases, they did the survey right then. So as we seek out those grant opportunities tell us that we have to have those town hall meetings, all right? So, and what we try to do is, like, for instance, Commissioner Farrell's constituent who wrote the letter, who wrote the email to us, all right? She would be one of the first ones we invite to come in and sit so we can get firsthand knowledge of what, and that's how we come up with a solution, all right? People will say all the time, y'all need to do something. But then when you ask them what the something is, nobody knows what we need to do, all right? So therefore, we have to do the research to tell us when we do the something, we're doing the right thing rather than the wrong thing, all right? Because it's like, I understand you saying.
And at the particular meeting, Mr. Chairman, we would be able to tell them the benefits on the west side.
We'll be able to tell them the
That,
benefits
that
and
there would be
the
less
cost of it.
annexation, so we as your elected officials can control the growth.
Yes.
Where, set like
Yes.
it is, they seek outside
Right.
annexation, and they're getting things developed out there that they don't want.
See, because one of the things that came up while we were talking to some of the homeowners and things is that if we just put piping down in the ground, all right, and we're thinking that that's gonna solve the problem, it's not gonna solve the problem, because when the ocean rise and when the tide come in, it's gonna push the water backwards, all right? It's designed for the water to flow out, but it pushed the water backwards, so now you even have a bigger problem. So that's why we have to go, and I wanna make it clear to all of us who are listening and all of us here, there is no overnight solution. You must work towards a step 1, step 2, step 3, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or part this, part that. But what we are trying to identify is, through the consultant, which is the worst area or the hardest area hit. If we begin there, then we can work. And again, I say, as I said in the pre-meeting, we will be going through the whole county so that all of unincorporated Chatham County and all of the flood, it comes down to ocean rise and climate change. And with those two things that are happening, we must make sure that what we're doing is the right thing rather than waste a bunch of money and have to go back and do it right. That's why I wanted you to come in, all right? That's why I want you to come in and explain this, all right? Do we get it? You need something? Go ahead.
Yeah. I know we're years from implementing anything, probably, but my vision would not be to force anybody to come off of a system that was working. My vision would be to have the lift stations and have the piping in there, and then when somebody chose to switch over, like for instance, they experienced some of the things that this person articulated, that they could choose whether they wanted to spend tens of thousands of dollars to build their own super duper raised bed septic tank that they own, or pay the tap-in fee and start paying the regular bill and just write a monthly check for the service and be done with it, not have that headache. So I would not advocate forcing anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't advocate that either, but the reality is, when I was mayor of Garden City, we looked at extending water and sewer lines, and we did extend some water and sewer lines, and it is absolutely not feasible to put a line anywhere if you don't require everyone to tap in, because then you literally could run millions of dollars worth of lines and have 2 people tap in. And you've really, so just a warning for all of us.
Yes.
Once the numbers are sitting in front of us, you have to head more in that direction than you would like.
Well, and I will point out that there are areas in the county that we know of right now that are struggling, where homeowners are coming in to replace failing septic systems, and the new system just won't work because of conditions in the area, and they're struggling now to come up with alternative ways to handle that. So having the infrastructure available for someone to tie into in the future will be helpful, even if they think now, and then some of these areas, their neighbors have recently replaced their septic systems, and they're gonna say, well, I just replaced mine, I'm good. But the reality is, your next door neighbor can't replace theirs because it's not feasible right now with the conditions of the soils.
That's the warning, it's tricky.
Yeah, and then you're gonna get that one who says, I just replaced mine, but you telling me I need to do something else to it now? See, and that's why we need to know what to do and how to do it. And then this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, all right? If you sprint, you're gonna wind up paying out more. But if you take the marathon and we take the time to find out what we need to do, how we need to do it, and when it needs to be done. Because we have to take into consideration all the growth that's happening on the west side. And see, as I've said previously, and I continue to say, that all the dots are connected, all right? Because the water comes in from the ocean, which is the Atlantic Ocean on our eastern side, but it winds up on our western side. So, in other words, the Atlantic is gonna affect Ogeechee and the Little Ogeechee and everything else that's on us, the Vernon and all the rest of it. So we have to make sure that we have a holistic approach that if it's not the ideal, and I don't know that that animal exists, ideal solution. I don't think it exists because you said it yourself and others have said to us as we talked about this. It's gonna be different for different people according to where you live and according to how it's affecting you. And so we have to look at that, and when we look at it, we want to make sure that we don't make it so expensive until they can't do anything with it anyway, all right? Because there are some areas we're not going to be able to do anything with. It's going to be like that, all right? And so the homeowners and those have to accept that it's going to be this way, all right? But I just wanted to make sure we put all that, yeah. But I wanted to make sure we put all this on the table, that what we are doing is what you're asking. Go ahead.
Yeah, but, I'm glad that Dean brought out, different scenarios, because there are a multitude of scenarios, but currently, in the unincorporated area, you got a piece of land and you want to build a house, you got to own nearly an acre of land to build a house.
Right.
Okay? If you have sewer service available, all of a sudden, you can increase your density and your land value goes up tremendously. So even though there's some upfront cost, there's a lot of subtleties to, long-term, decades down the road, more people are coming to Chatham County, where are you gonna put them? Well, you can increase density if you have a municipal sewer system. With a septic tank system, which is great for the rural parts of the county, as long as they're still rural and there's lots of land and not too many people, they're the ideal solution. But Chatham's rural days are behind it. We're charging full steam ahead into full urbanization, and in order to be ready for the future for the next 20, 30, 40 years, you've got to have a plan in place, in my opinion, to foresee that more folks are going to be wanting to build in this county, and the only way, one of the best ways to do it is increasing density, and you do that with a functionable, well thought out sewer system. So,
all right.
And again, I know that eventually the entire county
Right.
needs to have water and sewer,
Mm-hmm.
but at this point, I'm actually trying to help get you some sewer out on the islands, because a little bit of a slowdown in growth would not necessarily be a bad thing in West Chatham right now.
Well, it isn't
Taking
gonna happen. It isn't
taking
gonna
a
happen
tiny
fast.
breath, taking a breath to
It isn't
make
gonna
sure it's all
happen
developed
fast.
properly
But
and
if
all
we
at
don't
this
start
point.
now,
Yeah.
10, 20
But-
years from now, we'll be in the exact
So that
same
was my only
position,
point,
but worse.
was put it where the people want it at this point. Because right now, we're not gonna be able to put it everywhere, so simply put it where it's wanted.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I certainly agree with Mr. Kicklighter on that,
Okay.
100%.
Do I have everybody in? All right. May I have a motion?
We already have.
We have a motion. We have a second. All right, and that's the request for approval. So we ready for the vote?
Ready.
Please cast. All right. Okay, let's go on now to first readers. Request board approval of a resolution to appeal an act providing for the Fire Protection District in Chatham County, which was approved March 3rd, 1962, Georgia, L. 1962, page 2,835, and all amended act thereof, so to abolish the creation of the fire district, to provide for the election of, for determining as a tax levy in such districts, to provide for relative matters, to provide for effective dates, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. All right, that's the first reader. We read it into the record. Okay, we go on to the second reader. The petitioner has requested that we delay this until August 9th. All right, and so that is granted. Therefore, now, Mr. Manager, we come to your information.
Yes, sir. I've got a packet of information at your desk for you to review. We're going to have a brief presentation from Ms. Jackie Jackson, our resiliency program. She's going to come to the podium, and we're going to talk about, because at the previous meeting, we had a number of questions on our solar program, and Ms. Jackson's going to come with a little brief presentation and let you know where we are and what we're doing with our solar program. Ms. Jackson.
And, let's see. Good morning. As Mr. Kaler stated, just reintroduce myself for those who may be online. Jackie Jackson, Chatham County's Resilience Program Administrator. And we have been working very hard to get us down the road of solar and an energy program for Chatham County. So I just wanted to give you a brief update on that. Hopefully this will work. You'll continue to see me present this diagram, if you will, of our resilience framework for Chatham County. But again, just reiterating that this is a whole community approach with regards to resilience and what it means for our community. As you can see, infrastructure and environment, leadership, health and well-being, and economy and society, all four of these pieces of the framework come into play with regards to solar. We are literally intersecting between all four and affecting one another when we work on solar efforts for the entire community within Chatham. As again, a background, the goal of this entire program is really to figure out how best Chatham might be able to go about starting to capture solar energy for our county-owned facilities is what we're looking at right now as well. So we previously implemented a request for proposals for a renewable energy contract, and that's termed a SEPA, a Solar Energy Procurement Agreement. And we were able to bring on board Cherry Street Energy through that effort. And just to kind of really look at the history of the program within Cherry Street, we were able to look to other communities who have been working with Cherry Street, to be honest, a little bit longer than Chatham County, larger communities, City of Atlanta, Hartsfield Airport, Gulfstream as well, Macon-Bibb, and of course, City of Savannah. As you can imagine, I work a lot with the City of Savannah staff, and they too are expanding their solar programs right now as well. So it's been a good process bringing Cherry Street Energy on board. The thing that's important to really recognize about this program is it's really enables the county to stand up a strong renewable energy program, being very thoughtful of our public dollars, as you have discussed here this morning. It is allowing us to stand up this program with no upfront capital investments by the county. We are not overseeing any type of operations and maintenance of the system. And then all of the equipment, and that is because all of the equipment is owned and operated by Cherry Street Energy. So again, we were quickly able to stand up this program and start reaping the benefits, if you will, very quickly. So this is an image I have presented before, but it's simplistic simplicity, kind of shows you how we're at the bottom. This is our solar power. We have signed into a solar energy agreement at a specific rate that's not going to change over time. But yet, as energy costs, electricity costs go up, and they definitely are, and I can attest to that on my electricity bill this past 2 months, this will enable us to really hold at a very specific rate within these municipal facilities. So we're going to start seeing those benefits extremely soon. Our initial RFP was put out to start a pilot program for the county, and we started with 4 sites. This is the first of those sites, the Citizen Service Center, which is on Eisenhower Drive. And I put some of the production numbers off on the right. And the great thing about this, it was finished in June, and we're in, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, but we're in that 30-day period. We're seeing production already, which is pretty awesome. I'm very excited. So let's see. And you'll see in this specific picture on here, this is actually an image from the installation on that site itself. We're not necessarily covering the entire building at this stage. We're running through it, but we have room for growth and expansion at those. But one of the important things to remember about this particular endeavor and the way we're installing, there is no damage to the roof. There's no penetration on the roof at all. There is no disruption to services. They're able to continue, staff working throughout the day, that type of thing. And all warranties are maintained on the roof, which of course gets into the minutia, but it's very important. As you can imagine, these roof systems are very expensive. Our second site, one of my favorites, actually, I really like this one a lot, because it is an outward-facing location, is the Aquatic Center, one of your favorites. This particular location, we did put it on the rear of the building, trying to stay away from the skylight. And again, we have room for expansion on this one as well. And again, I'll hint on this in a minute, but it's very, as I mentioned, very public-facing. This particular facility is open Monday through Saturday, almost all day long. And we are going to integrate some public education and outreach. We want the public to know what we're doing and why we're doing it and what those data sets and outcomes are looking like. This third one, we just finished maybe 2 weeks ago, is Chatham County Juvenile Court System. And we worked really closely, as you can imagine, with Judge Cole and Teresa Owens and Ed Albright and the staff there. This one was a different location because there are some critical, as you can imagine, operations going on there. There's a lot of safety considerations, that type of thing. And we take all that into account when we look at our sites. So we had a really good experience working with the staff over there and making this happen. Truly appreciate all the work that they put into this. But again, no disruption on the day-to-day. What this will enable us to do, and I'm going to try and work on for them as well, is in the coming future, getting a generator. So these, the savings or the energy production will then go into a generator so that they can run those systems. In the case of a hurricane or something like that, they can get back up and running as soon as possible. And that's very important with, as you're aware, our court operations kind of getting us back in gear. Again, that's an actual picture of the site as well. So this one, we have just started this week. This is the jail, the detention center. This is our 4th and last site. As you can see there, the blue indicates on the image, that's where the proposed solar will be going. There's definitely room for expansion for sure. We actually have some possibilities, if need be, depending on how we move forward. There's room for expansion in a pond nearby, even, and field expansion as well. So lots of opportunities. Again, different hurdles at this location. You can imagine the security is very different. It's been a very good experience with the sheriff and his team as well, getting in here. A lot of learned, type of operations that I think we'll be able to use down the line as well. And then, as I've mentioned before, and this is in my opinion, one of the strongest pieces of this program and something that at the county level we've been really trying to push for, is this second chance or re-entry type of workforce development. These are actual pictures from our work, and these are staff who have been brought on board by a local women-owned firm. Miss Nicole Lee, she oversees Be Smart Home Solutions, and she is a subcontractor with Cherry Street. And this whole program is called Shine On. Basically, they are able to get training on solar construction, solar maintenance, that type of thing, and they get OSHA training, and they're paid from day one. And this is the type of workforce development we want to grow locally. We want people to learn these skills and stay in Chatham County and maintain and grow, especially knowing this electricity, EV, electric vehicles, and all these type of things is a growing area, as you can imagine. And just to kind of highlight, this is an example of what another community has put out there, and we will be doing something similar, most likely probably first at the Aquatic Center, again, because it is that outward facing. I like this image just because of the giant finger. Check out our solar stats. It'll be similar type of information. We'll be able to dive into what the specific stats are for that location and how it's saving the community, in essence, money, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and really standing up our renewable program. But as I said, you'll be seeing more images such as that, and this one, which is what we call our solar impact tracker. This is not specific to Chatham yet, but I just had a meeting this week on how we want it to look, what all we want to talk about. But what this gives is just an example for all the emissions that have been offset. You can compare them to things such as saving 5 million miles driven by a car, or saving all the electricity to charge 257 phones. You know, things like that individual residents and homeowners really can understand and take back and learn from themselves, and hopefully get solar on the residents. Again, pushing the efforts that Chatham County is diving into. I invite you to go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen. It does link up to our social media accounts. Feel free to scan, like, and share. We've been working really close with the PIO team, and they've been amazing with this and helping us get the word out. And we're going to continue to share that and continue to grow this particular effort. As you'll recognize, this again is the Aquatic Center, and just sharing that message about the road that we're starting down. So with regards to timeline and next steps, as I mentioned, our first 3 sites are all literally complete now. We had Georgia come out, and they do what's called witness testing, and that's, you know, making sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and everything's good to go, and all of those pass. We've also been working really closely with building safety, and they've done their inspections as well, so we're good on that end. Right now, we're in the midst of loading that software that I showed you images of, so we'll be able to track that. It literally is updated every few seconds, which is pretty amazing. I was playing on it yesterday, and it's pretty good stuff. It shows you everything under the sun, even cloud coverage and what your raking is. It's pretty cool. And then right now we're in that 30-minute, we'll say calendar timeline window, if you will. We're making sure there's no kinks, you know, all that kind of good stuff. And then I'm going to pull those numbers and bring those back and look at how we're operating and kind of go from there and see where possible expansion might be warranted. As it says, you know, and I mentioned, the jail started this week. I think this one will take a little bit longer, as you can imagine, maybe about 2 months. And that really, again, involves witness testing and construction, loading, offloading, all that kind of good stuff. And then again, by the end of the year, we will have all 4 of our sites completed, which was the goal when we put out that request for proposal, that we would have all sites completed by the end of the year and really start seeing changes in our electricity bills. So with that being said, it kind of just bodes the question, are we ready for a phase 2, moving next from a pilot into some sort of next steps for possible other municipal facilities? And that's somewhat of the question that we're posing to a certain extent. I myself looked through, we have, you know, 30 some odd facilities throughout the county. Not all of them necessarily are the best for solar right now, because you have to really be using a lot of electricity for it to make sense. So there's a lot of, you need to go in and do some diagnostics and figure out, if it makes sense for that site, which is what Cherry Street does for us through these efforts. So I've listed a few here, and I think there's possibilities for some of these sites, including possibly the museum that we have, the Civil Rights Museum, as well as the Pete Lukakis building. That one sees a lot of activity through the years. But again, just general recommendations. It really would come down to some sort of analysis through our consultant as to what would make the most sense. So again, just asking for general feedback if you think that was something that we should move forward with as a possibility next. And then to build on that, and I've mentioned this before, and actually I believe in your manager's update packet, all of this is encompassing in our energy road, the road that we're going down. And Chatham County did just receive a grant award to develop a strategic energy plan, and this is all part of that. So as we work on that plan, we'll continue to work not only on solar, but as shown here, there's other possibilities for EV. Because as we're installing solar in a lot of these facilities, they're having to dig and do panels and electricity, and all that is very much related to EV as well. So just so you know, we're looking at that as considerable next steps, because it's a lot of the same processes as well. And I think that's it. But as cheesy as it might sound, to kind of go back to the example that was shared earlier of the starfish. I love that story, by the way. I just thought it was nice. I was like, this is one thing that Chatham County is doing. But if we start just doing those one things at a time, it really can make a concerted big difference in our community. And I think that's where our strategic energy plan becomes very important, but just knowing that solar and EV and those type of efforts really one thing at a time, and we'll get there. Again, codes and ordinances and that type of thing as well. So
Commissioner
that's all I have.
I have a question. So I understand the beginning part of this where the county has no upfront cost to install all these panels, but could you get a little more detail about the kilowatt per hour chart, how that works? I can't quite wrap my head around how that, what those numbers are and how that works presently and into the future. Yes.
Okay. And this so
like do we pay a kilowatt like we do with Georgia Power for the power generated from these solar panels?
Yes. This, in essence, is literally a utility. So it'll be very similar to that of Georgia Power. What we have agreed to is an energy contract at a set rate. Okay. So we are almost entering into, if you think it like a land lease, the rooftop, we are letting them put their equipment on there, and then we're set at a consistent rate for the next year.
We're going to buy the electricity that's generated from their equipment on our property.
Correct. Okay. At a very much lower rate than what electricity is being charged from Georgia Power.
So for comparison, could you give me the current kilowatt per price for Georgia Power and the kilowatt price for Cherry Street?
I will have to come back to you on that one. I don't have it on me. I'm sorry. And I will say it is different for each site. We have done comparisons, but yes, I will have to come back to, and I can give that to you for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to get those numbers from Georgia Power and then.
And we do have those. I definitely have those. And again, they're different for each site, which is also a benefit of this. Instead of having Cherry Street is helping us navigate, we have different plans for different buildings, different rates, that type of thing. This will really get it under one umbrella and make it so it makes sense for the operations at that site. The rate may need to be lower at night versus the daytime, that type of thing. But yes, I can definitely get you almost a chart kind of detailing that.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of.
Sure, absolutely.
Get into the
weeds a little bit.
of how this thing pays off or
absolutely.
Costs or how that works.
And please know that All of that goes into determining which sites we are going to work on and the contract as a whole, because we want it to make sense. And if you think about it from Cherry Street perspective, they want it to make sense, obviously, for them as their moneymaker, which is also one of the benefits of them owning the system, because it behooves them to make sure it's always up and operational as well. So there won't be any downtime with production and that type of thing, because they're going to be there right away, because it hits their pocket as well.
Do you know how long each rate is for each building gonna last? Is it a year, 5 years, 30 years?
The agreement is 25 years. So we are set
We
for.
lock in at a kilowatt price for
Yes,
25 years?
Yes, which is fundamental to this whole program, because you're going to think about where electricity costs will be. We're going to be much lower, and that's where our savings is going to be key. And we're going to, as years go on, of course, you can see that's going to pay off more for the county as a whole.
Right, and then those are just kind of some of the minutiae I'd
Sure,
like to
sure,
look more
absolutely.
into.
And that's why I think Cherry Street has been great to work with. Like I said, they do not do residential. They mostly do municipal type systems and Gulf Streams and those type of operations. But where it makes the most sense are those entities that are owning buildings for the long haul, such as municipalities. We're not necessarily getting rid of these buildings, right? So it makes sense for that 25-year frame. Really around, 15 to 18 years, that's when you really start seeing some savings. But I 100% can give you that breakdown of those
So what happens
sites.
after 25 years, we renegotiate?
Well, there's absolutely, yes. And Mr. Hart here made sure that we included, capabilities of renegotiating rates as well. We looked at that, but did you want to add? Sorry.
They gotta take it off, and if we have problems with the roof, they gotta take it off. And they have a unique mounting system that they don't attach it to the roof per se. They have stanchions that they pack, and then they put a beam across, and then they mount on the beam. And that way you don't ruin your warranty on your roof. All those flat roofs come with a membrane. You drive something through the membrane, you can kiss your warranty goodbye.
Yeah.
So,
Leak City.
they've done a good job, and they've done what they said they're gonna do. And it looks like, if the durability of these things are what they say they are, it'll be a good deal for the county.
Agreed. And this is just kind of as a background. At the state level, this type of Operation Energy Procurement Agreement, SEPAs, were not allowed within the state till around, I think it was 2012, 2013, in that range. So that's exactly when these type of programs started, now that we're able to step into that world and start saving money honestly, for our local community and the residents.
All right, hold on just a minute. Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jackson, thank you, Mrs. Jackson, excuse me. Thank you for this presentation. So as you talked about that long-term, we got a grant to start doing some long-term planning.
Yes.
Do you have any vision of us facilitating solar being installed on some of our residents' homes?
We have, actually, I had assisted with a training session about 2 months ago. Residential is a little bit different, as you can imagine. We are working with local partners, though, that are implementing those systems for the residential side. So 100%, we're trying to partner with them so we can also get our residents solar energy as well. So it won't necessarily come from the county, but we're partnering with them, if that makes sense, to get those proposals out there and community members getting solar. That particular one, we really were focusing around municipal staff and such as public works, fire, police, EMS, those type of operations that could tap into it and might need it even more so than others. So we were targeting those about 2 months ago. But yes, so. We are partnering with entities for sure.
Got you. Now, as it relates to like the Georgia Power buyback of the energy that's produced, is that the deal, is that deal between Cherry Street and Georgia Power, or is that between Chatham County and Georgia Power?
So there's a little bit, Georgia is a little bit different with regards to buyback and like putting back into the actual grid. They don't allow, Georgia Power doesn't necessarily allow as much as you would think if there's a lot of
Oh, yeah, I know that.
intricacies,
the rate,
let's just
the
say.
buyback rate is extremely low.
Right. But that would come between Cherry Street and Georgia Power. However, there are definite limitations with regards to, you have to be careful on your sites. You don't want to necessarily produce too much solar so that we're putting more back into the grid than what we're reaping, and it gets, there's a fine line there. So that's why on some of these you'll see that the percentage rate is like at 30%. 36%, because that's that perfect little number where we're not necessarily giving back to the grid without being compensated in some way, if that makes sense. Now, when we get into generators and backup systems, that's when we can start harboring and really capturing more of that, and you'll see those percentages go up. Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Commissioner Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did want to commend Chatham County because, to your point about legislation has not always been favorable
Allowed,
for the
yeah.
South
Right.
when it comes to solar energy. So for those who think we're late to the party, we're actually not.
We
So
are stepping right in.
we are actually ahead because this aligns perfectly with some of the recent federal legislation
Correct.
that makes it a little more conducive to the South being a part of that
Correct.
solar energy movement. So it's commendable.
Thank
And I
you.
think the public should know that.
And there's a very interesting, temperature plays a lot into solar energy capture. And I'm learning a lot about this from Cherry Street as well. Our hotter days actually makes it harder to capture that solar energy. The best times, are often spring and fall, when we've got lower temperatures and you're really able to capture it. Those hot days, it's just not producing, and there's a lot of science involved that I don't know how, that it's just not able to produce that higher percentage. So, and this is where we're gonna tweak a lot of stuff and figure it out. But I agree with you. I think we're going down that road, in the right stage, in the right steps. There's a lot of communities that have done this before us, and we're learning a lot from them. So I think we're really going down that road at the right time.
All right, Commissioner Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to ask about the tree canopy issue. Has that been a problem in Savannah?
With regards to,
Of course.
right. With regards to solar, of course, you mean, right. At these particular sites, and that's one of the criteria that we have to look at for each site, as you can imagine. What is a tree canopy over that building? Would it lend itself better for field or a pond or that type of thing? Luckily, these sites, as you can imagine, they were all pretty clear. But yes, that is one of the criteria that we have to look at. Would we need to possibly trim or do it in a different location, that kind of thing? So far, we haven't hit an issue with these sites at all, but that definitely is a criteria that we have to
I
look
would
at,
think
for
that
sure.
would probably be more with residential.
It will, for sure. And I guess, just as a closer, not to cut anyone off, but I have the image up here of City of Savannah. This is one of their complex. You'll see a lot of information about City of Savannah coming out right now. As I mentioned, they too are Cherry Street, and they are entering into their contract amendment to get more sites on their contract with Cherry Street. But I just kind of put this up here because I want to beat Savannah in our production. I have a goal. So I want to get us to that finish line. So I put them there as a reminder for us. But yes, that's where our strategic energy plan comes into play in next steps. But yeah, that's my goal.
All right, anything
Sorry,
else,
Savannah.
Mr. Manager? Nothing else? All right, let me say there is a need for us to have an executive session. And that executive session will be for acquisition, litigation, and personnel, all right? But before we go there, let me express to her publicly our condolences to Commissioner Stone and the homegoing and passing of her mother. And we are deeply with you, and we just want you to know that we didn't forget, all right? We just, lastly, before I call for the motion, let me thank again our youth commissioner candidates for being with us, for sitting so patiently. See, so you see a lot of stuff that we say and do can be boring, but it's factual, and because it affects somebody's lives. And that's why we have to take the time to do this. Again, thank you for being here. With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to recess to executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Proper motion and second. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, we are recessed from this. Commissioner Lockett? All right, we are recessed from this session going towards the executive session. They're here.